Good morning. Today is Wednesday, July 16th, and this is Devotions from St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I'm going to take a passage today from Matthew's Gospel, and Jesus is talking to his disciples about gathering people together when he comes into his glory and separating them into sheep and goats. We're going to have a discussion about the tasks that Jesus gives us in this passage. So this is from the 25th chapter of Matthew's Gospel. When the Son of Man comes into his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory, and all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison, and we visited you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did this to one of the least of those who are members of my family, you did it to me." I'm only reading half of the passage because it goes on to talk about the goats on his left hand, and everything is pretty much the opposite of what he said to the sheep on his right hand. But we get the flavor of what Jesus wants us to do. He wants us to take care of the physical needs of people who are less well off than us, people we come in contact as individuals, and people who we only read about, which we can do through institutions. And so there is a sense, at least in my mind, of both an individual responsibility and a corporate responsibility. So I'd like to take a couple of minutes and talk about this. The corporate side is easier because most of us support things that help people. Think about what our church does just as a single congregation. Every Wednesday night, they serve meals to people in the community. Almost every night, they've had people from the CARES program staying in our building. Right now, we have a small problem with that with water, but we are doing things to take care of people's physical needs. Meals on Wheels is there to help, and some of the members of our congregation deliver those meals. And so we see that as a congregation, we do things to help people's physical needs. We also support other organizations financially. The SHARE program gets a contribution every year. Other helping organizations are the recipients of our noisy offering that we hold every month. Now, before we get too far along and pat ourselves on the back and break our arms doing that, we should understand that this is an obligation that Jesus puts on us when we call ourselves his followers. It's something that we're meant to do. I don't know about the rest of you, but when we look at the individual responsibility, it seems to me a little bit bleaker for many people. I think it's interesting that this past week, the gospel was the story of the Good Samaritan. And Pastor talked about that at length in his sermon. And think about what that thing says. It says that this robber was laying there half dead. This robber victim was laying there half dead. And a priest and a Levite walked by. People you would expect, because of the positions that they held, to help that person. But they did not. And somebody that you would not expect to help, a Jewish person, a Samaritan, went and did help them. Now, what that says to me is when we get targets of opportunity, people that we can help because we run into them, we should help them. Sometimes we can do that on our own with the resources, and sometimes we have to just get them to some place that will offer the help that they need. But we should help to take care of their physical needs. It's serious business to try to help people as they need it. We're going to claim in this day and age that we have limited resources to do that. But Jesus doesn't ask us to use up all our resources. He helps us to use up the resources we have at hand, which mostly is our time and energy. Does it take physical things from us to help other people? Yes, the Samaritan in the story used his water and his oil. He used his own animal for transport. He paid the innkeeper to take care of this person that was hurt and said, if I come back and you have spent more, I will pay you that too. So yes, it can take more resources than what we would allocate to that. But it's part of being Jesus followers. There is a part of the story that I did not read where Jesus speaks to the goats, to the people on his left hand, to the people who do not take care of their fellow people. And I'm going to let you read that on your own because it's just as serious as the part that says, be positive, be active, be helpful to other people. It's the flip side of what I read. So we need to think, each one of us by ourselves and all of us together, what kind of person do I want to be? Do I want a right relationship with Jesus? Do I want to do the things that he commanded me to do? Am I willing to put myself out to help other people? The answer to that question goes a long ways to defining our relationship with Jesus. Because as he said at the end of what I did read, if you have done this to the least of those who are members of my family, you have done it unto me. I hope you'll read this passage in chapter 25 of Matthew's Gospel. I hope that it will touch your heart and cause you to think seriously about your relationship with Jesus and how you can be the one who provides resources to someone in need. I think that's an important mission for all of us. I think it's something well within our means. And I think most importantly, it is something that Jesus is calling us to do.